the world of personal finance, eliminating debt is one of the first steps you need to take in order to attain financial freedom. But just like most things, debt has also a good side to it, and it can also be utilized to attain financial freedom. How? Joining us to discuss this topic further is registered financial planner Terence Camua. Welcome back to the show, Terence.
Hi, thank you. Thank you very much. Glad to be back.
Let's define it. What is good debt?
Well, good debt is something that, a debt that you incur, but you use it for something that either maintains its value or appreciates its value, as opposed to consumer debt, which is the other side, the bad debt.
Since we define good debt, obviously bad debt would be the reverse of it, but do you have a definition that helps people sink their teeth further into what bad debt is?
Bad debt are those debts that we incur for things that we do not really need. You know, a lot of people buy things that they don't need to impress people that they don't even like. So you don't really need, like, example is watches. Do you need a lot of luxury watches? Do we even need a luxury watch? The answer would always be no. If you do it in the excess, then it becomes a bad debt. If it becomes an addiction, just like with anything, then it turns out bad. If you don't put a rein on it, if you don't hold back, especially if you're using that magic plastic card, then it really will be a trap for you.
Is it possible for a debt that is not good to become good at some point?
Rarely does it happen, but the other way is more common. Something that is a good debt may in fact turn out to be a bad debt.
How?
One good example is that, like buying a car. Buying a car, sometimes it can be a good debt because you need a car to be more efficient in going to your place of work. You need a car to maybe save more on, instead of taking cabs, which ends up being more expensive, then you might as well buy yourself or your family a car. And another good thing about buying a brand new car, of course, some people would say that buying a second-hand car is better, but it really depends on one's needs. That's why we always say in financial planning, you should always set your goal first and not just spend without thinking, without planning first. So in buying a car, one of the pros of having a brand new car is that you don't spend too much on maintenance for registration, because when you buy a brand new car, there's either a 3 or a 5 year period that you wouldn't need to register your car with the LTO. And of course, not to mention the hassles of registering the car, more often, maintenance costs that go on and on.
Can you actually use debt to improve your financial situation?
Oh yes, definitely. If I would give you an example, that would be taking on a business loan. The most common types of good debts are what we all know as business loans, which is very common because in starting a business, we always need the capital. And a lot of people don't have that kind of capital. And the good thing about today is, yes, we have the angel investors, we have people who would want to invest in good ideas, but they're not always that available for everyone. In those cases wherein those things are not available, then the last choice would be to secure a debt to be able to start or to jumpstart or just begin a new business. And just with any form of investing, when securing a debt to start a business, there must always be a good business plan first. We don't just go to any kind of business without planning or without studying. We don't just go or jump into something blindly. We really need to study and come up with a good business plan. And after everything is set, after everything is prepared, then that is the only time we really expose ourselves to risk by securing debt. Yes.
So that would be one.
Yes,
are there any other circumstances where when you get a debt, it actually helps your finances?
Let me give you one good example from my own personal experience. Yeah. When I enrolled in the RFP program, I actually got a loan from my sister.
To pay for the course?
For the course.
Interesting.
And I paid for it it was payable in 1 year. So with just minimal amount, with minimal, almost zero interest. I could have afforded it, I could have paid it on my own, but if I did, then that would ruin my budget. But anyway, I can always secure a loan. And when I did, I was able to take the course, and here I am now. The dividends that it paid by taking the course, the advantages, gave me more opportunities in the profession, in my professional side as a lawyer and even as a financial planner.
And you were able to pay off the debt, obviously,
yes, definitely,
right? All
on time,
cleared, no
all
issues.
clear, on time,
Okay,
no
that's
issues.
an interesting
yeah.
perspective as well. What are your thoughts on borrowing to be able to pay off debt? So you get debt
Yes.
to pay off existing debt.
A lot of people do that. Yeah. In fact, there's a program, it's called the GOOD program, the Getting Out of Debt, which is being done by our friend, Sir Efren Cruz, yeah, which you get people who are in debt, who have debt problems, and we refinance their existing debts. But of course, on the condition that the new debt would have a much smaller what do you call it, interest.
Theoretically.
Theoretically.
Right.
And what people would do is to consolidate all their existing debts into one debt and transfer it to a smaller interest charging debt. That's the ideal. Theoretically, that's how it should. But of course, there's always a danger where people would think, oh, anyway, I have a new debt, so might as well buy this bag that I've been really wanting for the longest time. So, of course, that's why these things, when we do that, there should always be an accompanying financial plan.
Good.
It would be easier to pay off since you're only thinking of one solid debt, one
Right.
full debt, instead of thinking of, oh, I have a debt here, I have a debt here, this
Yeah.
bank, this bank, this bank. So you only think of one single
Right.
debt.
Oh, what are your thoughts on some mindsets which are any debt in principle is actually a bad debt because of the fact that it is a debt? One such proponent would be an American personal finance guru by the name of Dave Ramsey. He says even houses, his
Yes.
perspective is do not get money for a house, even if it's something that could appreciate, because he's thinking, if you really want one, save up for it first and then buy it with cash.
What's important for us is to put it in the balance.
Okay.
Yeah. Of course, the ideal situation is zero debt. That's the ideal. And in fact, how do we compute it? We can do a debt ratio analysis by getting our debts, whether we call it bad debt or basically it should be the ones that we consider bad debt divided by our income. So, and then we would get the ratio. Ideally, it should be a zero. The ratio should be zero debt. But practically speaking, especially in our in the current time that we have, a lot of times rather, it's really unavoidable, especially when we talk about mortgages, when we talk about homes. And if I remember it right, in his book, in Dave Ramsey's book, he also talked about, he actually considered it all right to secure a home mortgage, but with the end in view still of eliminating that debt. And eliminating the home mortgage would be the last. After all the other debts have been eliminated using the snowball method. And so on and so forth. It really depends on one's financial position. It depends on one's needs.
All right, on that note, Terence, we're going to pause now for a short break. When we return, we'll answer the questions sent by you, the viewers. Stick around. On the Money, we'll be right back. Welcome back to On the Money. Still with us is registered financial planner Roger Terence Camua, and we're still talking about how to use debt to your advantage. And it's quite tricky,
Yes.
right? As a general guide, stay away from debt, and where, if necessary, go only with good debt,
Yes.
as you called out. And even as you do, remind us again, in what circumstances can debt actually be beneficial?
If you're securing debt to finance a startup business,
There you go.
then that's good. If you're securing debt to purchase a car because it's more economical for you and safer, because it's safer than commuting, then yes, by all means. If you're securing a debt to fund your education needs, then it's all right. But there are certain conditions, of course. Then in general, those are the only things. And one more, purchasing a home. If you're buying a home, then it's perfectly understandable to secure a debt for as long as you are able to do it and it is within your budget.
Okay. Here's a question from Herman. I want to pursue an MBA course and I'm planning to take out a loan to achieve this. Is this a good idea? How can I make sure that I will be able to use this loan to my advantage?
First of all, you have to determine whether this MBA would really be beneficial to your career. Like there are some companies or corporations, and even in the government, wherein they would only promote you if you have an MBA degree or an MPA degree, public ad in case of government. So it would really depend on your needs. But if it's just, oh, I just want to have a degree, an additional degree, but it wouldn't really benefit your career, or there's no perspective, or there's no prospect, you can't really see any prospect of this degree helping you increase your income, then I would suggest that you forego that for now.
And Terence, obviously, when they get the increase in income, it should be something that should be able to wipe out that debt fairly soon, right? You get a 5% bump up in your income, right? That's not going to be very far, right? That goes with the discussion and the analysis, right? Okay, this is from Marcy. I would like to take out a loan so I can expand my business and invest some of the money in stocks. Is this a wise move?
All right. Actually, those are two things. The first one is investing in a business. Investing in a business is, in and of itself, is very risky. But done right, it will be all right. And compared to other forms of investment, compared to the stock market, in investing for your own business or expanding your own business, you know that you're the one in control. So you'll be because you're the one in control, you have more access to the real and actual financial statements, and you yourself know how the business is really doing. So based on those parameters, you would be able to assess whether it would be really a wise move to secure a debt to expand your business.
Clear. Now, what about the stocks?
Now, as for the stocks, this is a very common question that we get, right? For the stocks, no.
Good. That's a common response, and that's
a common
also wise.
response.
That's
yes.
right.
Because,
why?
Why? Because let's remember that equities are volatile, and yes, they're managed by really, really good tycoons, really good businessmen. But at the end of the day, there's still that aspect of crowd psychology, especially if you do technical analysis. It's still the motion of the crowd, and it's really volatile. And when you secure a loan or when you secure a debt, the interest rate is something that is sure. The interest rate would stay the same no matter what happens. And as we know, in the stock market, your investment can go up, giving you more money, or it can go down. You may be able to lose money or lose it entirely. So if you have an existing debt, if you just secure a debt and you haven't even studied the stock market that well, you might really end up losing all your money, and not just losing all your money, but owing more.
Stuck with a debt you can't pay because you put that money in there. All right, good advice. This is from Mad. I have incurred a debt that is equivalent to twice my monthly income. There's no interest, but I want to pay this off as soon as possible. How do you suggest I clear this out as soon as possible so I can move on to straightening out my finances? Is it wise to stop saving for the meantime and place all the money I could have saved to pay off the debt gradually?
There's what we call, in eliminating debt, there's what we call the snowball method, wherein we take on the smallest debt first and pay that off, and then the money that we use to pay that off, once that debt has been paid, we use it to pay off the next debt, and then adding more funds to pay off that second debt much faster, and so on and so forth until all our debts are eliminated. However, there are also some instances wherein taking on the debt from smallest to biggest isn't that practical. For example, if there are big debts that also charge the very high interest rates, then it would be wiser to prioritize paying off those debts first. And even if we have that kind of debt, which is double the income, I would just like to share and encourage everyone that, in personal experience, there was a time that we lived off the credit cards and we really experienced having piles of debt. But for a few years now, we discovered that, my wife and I discovered that it is really possible to live without credit cards. And I'm proud and glad to tell everyone that for a few years now, maybe 2 or 3 years, we've been living without credit cards.
Congratulations. And debts from the banks.
Yes. Oh, there's still some that are still
but
existing.
But at least not the credit cards that you cannot pay, right?
There's still credit cards, really, but those were debts incurred way before.
Right.
That we still need to pay off. And it's really encouraging what I want everyone to feel is that they should be encouraged that these things is possible, and you just need to pay off your debts little by little, as much as you can, and you can always negotiate with the banks anyway. So.
And I want to go there, but I don't think we'll have enough time for that. Just for Matt though, he's saying, should I stop saving and pour it into the debt repayment? Your suggestion is, given the snowball method, Yes.
Yes.
Get that
Yeah.
done first.
Yes.
Okay. All right. That's
Except
our
for the emergency fund.
Do not tap your emergency fund to pay
Yes.
off the loan.
Yes.
Just to be clear.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Well, thank you. And thank you for sharing a little bit of your own life story and how it's real and it can happen, right?
Yes.
You can overcome debt problems. That's our show today. I'm Edric Mendoza. Send us your money questions via email, Facebook, or Twitter. And to view portions of this interview, visit our website, anc.abs-cbnnews.com, or for the full episode, go to iwanttv.com.ph or log on to tfc.tv. Join us again next time as we bring you more tips on how to save, invest, and manage your money. Thanks for watching.